When I was a small child, I wanted to be a gymnast. I also wanted to be an astronaut, a singer, a graphic designer, a vet. I was full of joy, bouncing with ideas, and felt like I could grow up to do anything that I wanted. But then I just didn't want to be here anymore. When I was a small child, I was sexually abused. It happened somewhere that I was supposed to be safe, and it happened at the hands of someone my parents trusted, someone my community trusted. I didn't understand what was happening. I was too little. It was too much for me. I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to do something wrong. And so I'd lie there, completely checked out, too fragile to let myself properly feel anything or say anything to anyone. There are a lot of people walking around with the same scar tissue on their heart. There are a lot of people who have survived child sexual abuse. And at the same time, there are a lot of children in our communities who continue to be groomed and to be violently sexually abused by people who they thought and who they were promised would keep them safe.
About 5 years ago, Emma came and had a chat with me, and on the first meeting, I found this very resolute, determined young woman. And what she wanted was to talk about what had happened to her, but in a way that made a difference to children and young people. And the reality is that even when we do our community tracking study and our research, there are only about 1 in every 3 people who would believe a child if they disclosed abuse to them.
I tried to be the best mum I could be. I thought that I had done everything I needed to do to make sure that no one ever hurt you, but I was wrong. And then I watched as you fell apart, and my once joyful, fun-loving girl was just being obliterated by something. And you wouldn't get out of bed, and sometimes you would just howl, this cry that came from the very core of you. And then I knew something awful must have happened to you. And I would go through and I would think of any person that could ever have been alone with you and that could have done something to you. And my biggest blind spot was that I didn't count that it could be a woman that could hurt you.
It impacted me, obviously, but the whole family. I can count on my hands how many times I've hugged you or Dad since it happened. Now we just do this finger touch instead of hugging because I want support and love and I have it from you, but I feel unsafe still. I didn't say anything because we didn't have that shared language where I could have said Zorpal or sandwich or any word that we had decided was my way of saying something. I feel a big feeling and I don't know what it is and I don't have the words for it and I need your help to decipher it for me because you're an adult. Then it would have been really different and I wouldn't have been around this woman for so long and I wouldn't have kept getting hurt.
And I treasure that little finger tap.
So why are we still not really listening to survivors of child sexual abuse? Not just asking for the gory details of the worst parts of their lives, but for the wisdom that they got from fighting and from surviving. Child abuse makes us uncomfortable. How our children end up in our worst nightmares for them is too painful to think about. But it's always more painful for them, and it's always more painful for us, for survivors who know what could have helped us, and so what could help children today too. So, if you're a survivor and you feel like you can and you want to, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to receive whatever wisdom you have to give us. And in return, I promise, to do everything I can to make that wisdom make a difference, to get it into places of power, into schools, into children's homes. And if you're not a survivor, It's time for you to please listen to us, keep up with this work we're doing, and show up for the children in your life alongside us.